He is not killing the game.
He's not killing the game.
Like, I
The
wouldn't
layout
say
of the
that. I
cosmetics.
wouldn't say
It's
that.
about decluttering, changing the city. Sorry, what was that? Changing the layout of city cosmetics.
Yeah, so we always kind of like every time we kind of like mess around in city, the layout kind of changes a little bit. Sometimes we'll have things temporarily, sometimes we have things a little more permanent. We're always trying to find out like what the
It's like
best
he's
thing
killing the
is.
theme.
Sometimes it feels too
Monkeys,
cluttered,
making it
sometimes it feels
advanced.
hard to find
kinda
things.
making
So
better.
people want it more up front.
Yeah, he
So
is
it's
making it
always
better.
going to be figuring out what the best place to put stuff in, because we want to make sure you see all the new stuff so that people know it's available to get. But we don't want everything to be so in your face that you can't play the rest of the game without feeling like there's just stuff thrown at you left and right. So that's another thing where, please keep giving us your feedback. Let us know what things are working and what things aren't. And we're always trying to make it better.
Yeah.
Is the space map gonna add on to
W Lemming, yeah.
like
W
the
Lemming?
actual game? Or is it gonna go
He's
into,
trying to
like,
revamp Forest. No.
Dude, I hope he doesn't do that. I hope he doesn't do
I
that.
quit.
If
Is the
Lemming
space
revamps
map part
Forest,
of the
I'm a
actual
cry.
game, or is it like
I will too, I will
Ghost
too.
Reactor or something like
I
that?
would cry.
So Space Map is gonna be like any other map. Like travel over to it, and then you can go in there and you can play whatever you want. Ghost Reactor is pretty far away, so that's why you kind of have to go through the elevator. Otherwise, you have to like run for 20 minutes. We want to make sure the space map's easier to get to, but you should be able to just run there and play whatever, just like any other map.
Are you ever going to add Lucy back into Mines?
Lucy back in the mines.
Are we? So that was a different ghost in the mines. So I think Lucy's come back every Halloween so far. It was a scarier ghost in the
Lucy
mines.
came
I don't know if that
every
ghost is
Halloween.
coming
I didn't
back.
never saw Lucy
Probably at
last
some
Halloween.
point.
No, it wasn't
I liked
Halloween.
that ghost. He was fun.
Sadly not.
Do you have like an all-time like favorite memory or something that happened while making Gorilla Tag?
Do I have an all-time favorite memory or something that happened in Gorilla Tag?
Gotta go. Parents.
Alright, thank you, Timmy.
I
Appreciate
think
it.
it's hard to say
Best of luck to you,
one
bro.
That's why I love
that is for everything. But I will say that actually during the pandemic, while I was still working on and building out the game, I had my family come and play with me a few times just to like try it out and test out the space.
W family.
And it was always nice to be able to see them at a time when it was difficult to see everybody.
What
And
happened
for me,
between-
that was kind of the thing that
what do you mean what
demonstrated like how meaningful it is to have that kind of connection with other people. Because I think that if that's something special for me, then that's going to be something special for other people too.
Oh my god, my knees are hurting so much.
Oh, my
Will
knees are
the
killing
golden
me.
helmet ever return?
No.
Definitely
no.
yes.
No.
That's
It
my
wasn't
helmet.
Really
That's my
on
helmet for a
purpose
reason.
that it went
Do
away.
not.
It just sort of
That is
happened
mine.
because we cleared out this space and we were like, yeah, we'll
I
figure it
got
out.
more
later.
views than you.
So yes, we're gonna bring the golden helmet back.
You
We
got
didn't
more
keep it
likes.
hidden
One of those
really
likes
on
is me.
purpose. It was kind of just like,
Oh, we
where
got-
are we
There
gonna
are
put it?
so many
Let's
people
worry about it
asking
later.
Lemmy to
So
revamp
yeah, it'll
Forest,
come back.
and I'm like, no, don't do
Are
it.
you ever going to
Please,
add
no.
thing when there's like an A
No.
illustrator sticker painter in the shop? Like,
I'll
or in
find
your
them in-
lobby?
I love
They have
Lemmy.
their shirt in
Hey,
the shop
yo.
if they're
I do
active in
too.
your lobby.
Will we ever
Hey,
add,
hey,
add a thing where if
I'm kidding.
a
I'm
creator
kidding.
that has like a cosmetic or a shirt or something,
literally said he
maybe
was
people
not
can
gonna
buy
do
it
it.
while they're in the lobby.
I know.
I think that's
Did
a
you
fun
know the
idea.
Skittle
You know,
bag
it could
that
be
the
something
Big
where
Fun
there's an
Skittle bag
extra
is good?
incentive to
Okay.
create and see people who are cool.
I got my first
I will
leg.
say one of the things we're trying to balance
But
is
still,
we also
even
don't
if
want to
Lemming
make it
says he's
feel
not going to
like
revamp Forest, that doesn't mean he's not
we're
gonna
just trying
do
to
it.
sell things everywhere.
Lemming?
Like
Lemming
one
could
experiment
change
we
his
did for
mind
a
and
while
then
was
do it.
we had the
He
bundle
changed his
available
mind.
to buy in the
Yeah,
forest.
don't get
We
your
got a
hopes
lot
up,
of
guys.
feedback that people felt like
Do
it was
not get
kind
your
of
hopes up.
out of place.
That's what I said.
So we don't want to be too intrusive with that kind of thing. That said, I think it can also be a lot of fun to have like something that's sort of dormant and then it pops out at when a special condition is met. So I think that's a fun idea. We'll have to think about ways we can kind of give that feeling while keeping the feel of the rest of the game at the same time. I think that's a fun idea.
So it's such a
got more
passionate
views.
community. What's something that you've learned
Your view's
from
going down and then back
the
up.
community?
I noticed that.
Yeah, mine went to 2.
So what's something that I've learned from the
6 now.
community? I think one of the things that I've learned is that even if I disagree with certain kinds of feedback, the feeling behind it is always true, if that makes sense. You know, I've heard certain things like, hey, I think you should have done this differently, or I should have done that differently, or I think that this thing was a mistake, or I think this thing is really cool. I think that we always have to stay true to ourselves and the kind of game that we want to make, right? Like, I'm always kind of going to be like, you know what? I'm hearing this from everybody, but I think this is the right thing to do.
The game
so
might
I'm
have made a
gonna do it.
couple of mistakes.
And
but
anytime you're making something, you have to put yourself into it, right? But at the same time, that feedback is never just, oh, they just don't understand, so that I'm just going to ignore it. That's always a mistake. You always want to take that because people are sharing their feelings with you, and that feeling is there regardless if you agree with whatever their idea is.
No, that's true.
So it's always kind of this give and take. You're trying to figure out the balance. You know, I don't want to just put out a poll and just do whatever the most popular thing is.
Oh, do you still
but
do
I always want to be learning and
still, like, do the
understanding the
polls?
different perspectives because
rock toss
understanding as much as possible, that's what helps us get to like
I haven't done
the
it in
best
a while.
thing.
Only update I did not like is the update for the
Can you name a gorilla tag map for an edit?
I mean, I like the
gorilla tag
idea
map
ever
for an
since it
edit.
came out, but I mean, people have different opinions.
Sorry, I don't think I understand the question.
Can you name a
Yes,
gorilla
everyone
tag
has
map
different opinions.
For, like, a YouTube edit?
Name a gorilla tag map for a YouTube edit.
I'm old, so I don't really understand what you're meaning. To name a map, you know, I think not all the maps even really have names, you know, like some of them, like clouds.
Just name a map.
I usually
name
just
a
call it
map,
Sky
man.
Jungle
Come on,
still,
just name
because
a
back in before I could re-release the game, there was an area that we called Sky Jungle. I don't know, we
What?
still don't
Sky
fully have
Jungle
official
ain't
names.
no way.
That was probably Cloud.
So I would say, you know, if the community decides on
If it was
something,
named
kind of
Sky
becomes
Jungle, I
true
would-
regardless of
I would
what we
never
say.
play.
So I would say, you know, go nuts and
If
do whatever
Clouds
you
was
want.
called Sky Jungle, I am not playing this.
What would you guys do if Cloud was named Sky Jungle?
It's a little bland.
Guys,
There's
let me
not
know in
much
the
going
chat.
on. There's like
If
one.
Clouds
There's
was
the
named
one
Sky
like
Jungle,
creepy store.
would you play it?
Do you
Yes
think
or
we'll
no?
ever see
Yeah,
that?
would you guys play
kind of
Sky
more
Jungle?
Bigger, like,
Clouds
convention
wasn't the
hall
way
with,
it
like,
was. If
escalators
it
and
was like a
stores
completely
and
different
things.
map, would you play it?
You
Fell
know,
off, kind
it's
of.
always like, whenever I think of Gorilla Tag, I think of, like, whenever we think about, like, how should we build this thing, or what should it look like,
sounds kinda
or
weird.
what should the design be, I always think that Gorilla Tag sort of operates in this, like, dream logic, you know, where things sort of make sense if you don't think about it too hard. Like, you know, how does the giant tree in the sky work that you can walk on the clouds? Well, you know, it kind of feels like you should be able to walk on clouds. That sounds right, you know? So it's the same thing with like the
can't
mall.
walk on
They're kind of
clouds in
like
real
this weird
That's not how that works.
dream version of malls and stuff where things don't
But you're
fully
gonna go
make
through
sense
the
the way that
clouds.
they're
You can't
connected
walk-
and it's
you
kind
can't
of
walk
They're just
all
like
over the
air
place.
and all.
I know. It's
I think
literally
everything
air.
just kind of feels like
like
that.
water-
And
it's
whenever
water,
we make
water.
something, we try to make it
Evaporated
cool,
water.
not
water.
necessarily
It makes
exactly
that, like, mist and
true to
all.
life.
Yeah, water evaporated
So I
water.
would always say, you
Isn't
know,
it like if you go
expect
through it,
things
it's
to
like
constantly change,
raining?
and who knows what things will look like in the future.
And then out of nowhere it starts to drop.
It's
So,
basically like,
I
you
know
know
they
those
have
like smoke
money funding.
machines?
Yeah.
Do you ever
It's
think that
basically
you
like
would
if you were to
add,
turn it on
like,
and then you walk
flips or
through
anything
it,
that you
like
can
you're
do?
basically
Because I
just
know
walking
that
through
you
nothing.
can, like, do
It's just
three
because
sixties,
smoke
like,
is
turning
smoke.
the
You can walk
joystick.
through it.
Do you ever think that you would be able
Because
to do, like,
to make the
flip
smoke on a
joystick?
smoke machine, you have to put like
So would we ever have the
a
ability
certain
to
like
do
watery
flips? So
liquid
this
in
one
it.
is
Yeah, they
complicated
have a full bottle
because
of
I'm
it.
a
You can
crazy
put it
person.
inside the machine, and
So
that's what causes the
what
smoke
I
to come out.
don't like
Because
is when
if you don't put
do
it in the machine, then the
something
smoke-
and it just sort of happens. Like if you press
has
the
to- it's
button
like
and your
this
character does a
liquid
flip, it's
thing.
like,
My
well,
brother
how
said
did they
it's
do a flip?
warm
Why
water.
did
I'm like,
they,
don't
like,
drink
what
that.
made them?
It's not
so,
warm
like,
water,
That's
but it
part
has-
of why I like
it's like-
arm movement is
It's
because you're
toxic.
doing the
Yes,
arm movement,
toxic,
right?
yes.
Like nothing's happening for you. So it's cool with the body tracking is
Did
that
you know
now
that
you
the
can do
clouds
stuff
weigh
like you
more
can
than
lean
1
forward
million
and
pounds?
push-ups, chest is in the air. That's really cool. At the same time, I don't want to
Like, we
encourage
all
people
knew
to try
this,
to
like,
like
we
do a
all
flip
knew
in real
this.
life
We
because I feel
all
like
knew
they
this.
hurt themselves.
We all knew this.
But there's also
We all
stuff
knew
I know
this,
you
by
can
the
mess
way.
with the
We all
settings
knew
and
this.
turn on like
I came out of it.
lying down mode and you can do this stuff or you're weird upside down. So I would say, you know, it's another case where never say never. I would say in the space map, you can do all sorts of crazy flips and all sorts of stuff, which is super cool and fun.
That's true.
But I don't like having a button that just makes you flick. I don't like it. We've thought about things like that before, and I'm always against like magical buttons that do things. But if you figure out the right way to make it work, I would say it's always possible that we do something.
And if you want to get big again, just go to the freaking air.
I love that social connection you get in the game. However, like I'm encouraging my kids to invite their friends over to the video games, but in the house they can't play on the same consoles. So as you into your, can you consider making it so multiplayers can play at the same house? Like I have all these game controllers at my own houses. Does that make sense? So I would love as a parent to be able to say, invite your friends over, and here's 5, a remote controls what it's called, and then they can all play together. Always wanting to be in their own houses,
Right.
so they can play a game together.
Yeah, so there are a few layers to that. One is that the way the game, that Gorilla Tag works at least, is that you can't have the same account in the same room, but if you're on different accounts, you should still be able to play from the same house. There's some weird networking things where sometimes that gets complicated and it's just kind of doesn't work even though it should. That said, things like, Gorilla Tag, Monkey Mayhem, part of the reason why we wanted to make that is not everybody can even play VR, right? Like, the inspiration actually for having a mobile game was, there was a time when my dad was sick and he was in the hospital. So and my thought was, wouldn't it be cool if he could be on his phone and we could be in. So that was kind of like the idea. We wanted to give people different ways to connect and play together. So we're always trying to think of new ways to give people like a window into the virtual world. So we don't have anything specific to talk about with respect to that, but I would say you could probably use your imagination about stuff that we might do in the future. And I'm always interested in creating more ways for people to connect. That's always the goal for me.
What does that even mean? Don't worry about it, bro.
Can you possibly add attic back?
No.
Attic?
Yeah,
That was the old
Attic.
monkey block.
Yes. I remember playing it like how everyone would make ice slides.
I'd love to bring Attic back. I think that spot was cool. There was the original
Attic was
hat
the old
room up
monkey
there.
block.
Yeah.
If you're
I was
a
there.
real OG, you remember the hat room. Then for a little while, we put the first beta for up there.
Wait.
That was a lot of fun.
What
Who
if
knows what's happening at the top of this
Gorilla
stuff.
Tag keeps city, but then they also
How
add
good are
an
you at
option
Gorilla Tag?
for us to walk into
How
the
good
house.
am I at Gorilla Tag?
So
That's a
it-
really
can
easy
do
question to
that,
answer. I am the
There's
best at Gorilla Tag.
a
Or I was at one point. When it was
I think if you go
just
to
me
the
working on
stump-
it before anybody else had played. I was
stump and virtual map.
I would say I'm I'm better
OG,
than
like Stump Forest.
Yeah, because
than
didn't
most people,
another
but
Axiom
I'm
make the
not
OG
like
maps?
competitive level
Pretty sure they
good.
did.
I'm the
No,
kind
I
of
think
person
it was
that
just
gets
Lemming.
frustrated whenever I'm bad at
2004
something, so I
was
keep
a-
practicing until
Someone
it's
got
pretty
go
good.
to
So yeah, I'm
Vermont
decent.
because they got
I bet I
banned from
could kick the
California.
butts of
How does one get banned from a
most of
state?
you.
You look beside you?
Will you ever bring Hunt back?
Where?
Hunt, the Hunt game. Ever bring Hunt back? I'd love to bring Hunt back. I thought Hunt was super fun.
Hey.
I remember when I first added it, and like not that many people played it. I was like, "Come on, it's awesome. What are you doing?" Yeah, I'd love to bring it back, but I'd love to bring it back in a way that was easier to find people. Because one of the problems with having like a ton of game modes is that then you would try and join Hunt in like Beach, and there'd be nobody there. So, maybe we do something where there's one area that has Hunt enabled, or we switch certain areas or something, but I would love to bring all of our game modes like that back in different forms. Freeze tag, I think freeze tag is a lot of fun. We finally brought back Floor is Lava for everybody recently, which I think was super cool. But yeah, I always want to bring stuff like that back. I just want to balance it and make sure that people don't get stuck by themselves.
But my phone's about to die.
So one of the developers said something about like a Gorilla Tag game
Dude,
jam
my
or something,
battery pack
where,
isn't
like, you could, like,
working.
add stuff to
It's not
Gorilla
working.
Tags.
Oh
Can you give me
no!
like
Your phone's gonna
details
die.
about that?
No!
Yeah, so the question was about what our game jams are like. So every year, usually at the new year, we try and run a game jam, which means everybody at the company has 1 week to kind of work on anything they want, they can build anything they want, and we'll see what's we'll add stuff to the game. Or maybe not. Maybe they just make stuff and they get some of those creative energies out there, and then we move on to the next thing. Things like ropes, the swinging ropes, that was the result of a game jam that someone made one time. We have all sorts of stuff like that where people kind of put their ideas and then we try it and we're like, this is awesome, we have to do it. Floor is Lava is another example of something that started as a game jam and we tried it out and it turned out to be super cool. Monkey Blocks started as a game jam. So there's lots of stuff that nobody has seen that didn't make it into the game. There's lots of stuff that did make it into the game that we didn't plan on it, but we just tried it in a game jam and it was like, this is awesome, we have to put it in. But I always expect to see that kind of energy. Like it usually ends up making it into the game at some point if it's cool enough.
Are you ever going to add another badge like the illustrator badge or the finger painter badge?
Are we ever going to add another badge like the illustrator and finger painter badge? Luckily, that is not my job. We have a team that kind of like does all the creator stuff, and they're awesome. And you'll have to find them. I think some of those teams are here. I don't know.
He's just the owner. He's the one that
I try to focus on like the game part and leave the other things to people who know what they're doing. Because all the YouTubes and TikToks and Instagrams or whatever it is. I'm too old for that. I don't know what's going on.
Instagram when come on, bro.
Do you ever add a system where if you have like a long streak in Gorilla Tag that you've got on consistently that you'll get more shiny rocks every day?
The question was if we would do something like if you play a lot of Gorilla Tag every day, you might get extra shiny rocks or something. We've actually thought about that kind of thing, and one of the reasons why we haven't done it so far, who knows what we do in the future, is I never want to make people feel like they have to play, Like, I was worried about seeing other games and other systems where they have these things where it's like, you have to play every day, you have to keep your streak, and if you don't, you get punished. Because I want to make sure that people play Gorilla Tag because they have fun playing. I would worry that if someone had a really good streak and then they lost it, they would feel really bad. I don't like. I want people to feel good when they play. I don't want them to feel bad because they didn't play. I want to make sure Gorilla
Is anyone on GorillaCon right now?
You can just focus on having fun and playing with your friends and all that kind of stuff. That said, I always want to make sure that if you're a free-to-play player, you always still have the opportunity to participate in things, right? Like, I don't want it to feel like an experience where you have to spend money in order to have a good time. So we're always thinking about those things and trying to do the best balance and give people the best feature. But we're also trying to make sure we're not doing those things that feel like they're kind of predatory. We don't want to trick people into play. We want people to play because they think it's awesome. So maybe a system that's not shiny rocks where it's just like you can show off. Hey, look, I've been doing this. I've been playing a lot. I'm really proud of it. Something like that could be really cool. But I don't want to like.
No, there must be a spirit or something,
I'll get extra value, so I have to play every day, and it's like midnight, but I have to get on, even though I'm tired and I want to go to sleep, I always want people to want to play Gorilla Tag.
No, that wasn't me, that was a spirit.
Sure.
That's the kid behind
Will
you.
there ever be something in Super Infection, Super Casual, etc., where you could walk on ice or like something like that?
You should ask him.
Speaking of game jams, there was a game jam someone made one time that was like an ice pick, and you could kind of climb walls and stuff. And maybe there could be like snowshoes or like ice spike shoes that let you climb on sliding surfaces. I think that's a fun idea. We'll have to keep that in mind.
I'm joking.
Lemming, give me the admin back.
Add like circuitries and like in Super Infection, build your own Super Infection gadgets and combine those together.
Oh,
build your own
somebody
super
just asked him for a build your own.
That sounds like a fun idea. That would be a lot of work. So you have to remember, I'm really lazy. I like this that I can try out quick and fast. But the idea of like building something or constructing something,
what does that even mean?
Maybe like in Critters, right? You chop down a tree and
my phone's actually
build your own device to catch something. I think the idea of building stuff could be really cool. Actually, earlier today in the we had a panel for So You Want to Be a Game Developer, and I showed off a super early prototype I made of something that was like meant to be like a blacksmithing game where you would like hit the sphere with a hammer and change its shape. I always think that kind of like creating and building stuff is really cool. I would love to have a system where we build stuff in Gorilla Tag. You know, Monkey Blocks, it was that kind of idea. You know, you're snapping things together, which is a lot of fun. So yeah, I think that's a really fun idea. I can't make any promises, but I think that sort of thing would be really cool.
Where is Gorilla Tag going in the next 2 months?
What would be like the future of
Gorilla Tag will be here in 2 months.
Will it come back?
They'll be here in 2 months.
Yeah, what's the future of rotating maps? I would love to bring back rotating maps. You know, the idea behind it was, well, we're spending all this time and effort, you know, building new maps, and it's a lot of work, and we have to do the art, and we have to make sure the level design is good, and it's fun to play, and everything's set up really well. But the idea behind the rotating maps was like, what if I just spend 2 hours making a map, and I don't, that's it. I just like get an idea out there and I try something. Like we did one map one time, which was just like a bunch of these really dark areas, and it was kind of maze-like, and we put hunts in there, and it was like really confusing.
Type 2 in the chat if you don't think Gorilla Tag will be here in 10 years.
And I thought that was cool.
Yeah, there's only one
I'd love to do more rotating map stuff. You know, I think right now we're trying to not spend much time on like these extra parts of the game. We really want to focus on that core. But I'd love to bring.
I don't see it being here in 90. That's crazy.
Will there ever be like the meteor monster coming back in the live event?
Will there ever be the meteor monster coming back in what?
In a live event.
In a live event. I would say, who knows, you know? Like, we're going to space. I think that Gorilla Corp is setting up a portal to go places that maybe they shouldn't be going.
Why would we see the meteor monster?
It's always seemed a little bit sketchy to me.
Why would we?
So hard to go to this place where aliens are coming from. So I would say that, you know, it seems a little bit risky and dangerous to me. So we'll have to find out.
My phone's about to die.
Oh, dang.
What were your initial thoughts when you were creating Ghost Reactor? Like, I really want to know that.
Alright, bye guys.
Like, what were your initial thoughts for, like, when you created it? For, like, both parts?
Yeah, so what were we thinking when we made Ghost Reactor? You know, the idea was really like, how do we make something that's more the players cooperating to do something